Welcome to the show. Hi, I'm Randy Jeffers, and we are live from the entertainment capital of the world, Las Vegas, Nevada. Well, we have a great show for you today. We are here with Magala Moa, who is with the Nevada Falun Dafa Association. Did I say that right?
Yes, correct.
Okay. Well, it's going to be interesting because we're going to talk a little bit about spiritual things. We're going to talk a little bit about political things. We're going to talk a little bit about how people are oppressed in other parts of the world. And so Falun Dafa sort of encompasses all of those things, right?
Correct.
So, but if you could just boil it down, what is Falun Dafa?
Falun Dafa is a spiritual discipline that includes 5 different sets of exercises to improve your health, and we follow the principles of truthfulness, compassion, and forbearance as our guidelines in life.
So you said that it has some exercises with it. So is that a little bit like Tai Chi, or how does that work?
This is how I explain to people. This is a very frequent question. How do you explain what does it differentiate from yoga or Tai Chi? Tai Chi and yoga are both good, but they do not require you to have a spiritual or the discipline like truthfulness, compassion, and forbearance. As a Falun Dafa practitioner, if we call ourselves Falun Dafa practitioners, in our lives, we try in every aspect when we are doing things in our daily behavior, we have to, and it's a must, to follow the principle of truthfulness, compassion, and forbearance.
Now, as I understand it, Falun Dafa started by a fellow Chinese person.
Mr. Li Hongzhi,
And
from mainland China.
And he's still alive.
Yes, he's actually he's in upstate New York, and periodically, if you go to the website, there are still recent articles by Mr. Li to guide our behavior to improve ourselves as a better person. But basically, we learn the principle behind it, and on our own, we all know what's right from wrong, what should be done with the guideline, how to improve that, not only to yourselves, but benefit your fellow human being. That's very important.
So Falun Dafa is a new discipline. It's not an old, you think of China and some of the disciplines are just centuries and centuries old, right?
Wrong.
Yeah.
It's not a new discipline. It's an old discipline. It's an integration of Confucianism, Buddhism, and Taoism.
I see.
So it's actually the integration of the wisdom from these 3 schools of thoughts.
Okay.
And for the longest time, it was passed down from one teacher to one disciple. This time, Mr. Li actually teach a lot of people from mainland China starting in 1992. And exponential, when people find out the improvement of the health, that's the first thing they notice. People by words of mouth. And this is from the Chinese government survey in 1998. Close to or about 100 million Chinese people are learning Falun Dafa. Because when it's good.
How many?
They said around or about 100 million
100 million. Okay.
people are learning Falun Dafa. And we can still find I don't know, it may be in the archives. They said if people practice Falun Dafa, saves the government like 1,500 yuan a year. So at the beginning is the health benefit that the people see. And when you have something good you want to share with your coworker, family, friends, neighbors, and this is how it starts.
So walk us through this now. So one of the benefits is the health benefits, and that's because of the exercise, and it's a special kind of exercise, right?
Yes.
That does special things. Tell us about that.
It's a 5 we call from number 1 to 4 is a moving exercises, very mellow, and then the 5th exercise is a sitting meditation, and you try to cross like double lotus, but a lot of people can do that. It's fine. But you work your way to it, and you listen to the music, and it's very relaxing. In the meantime, yes, what we also emphasize is exercises is secondary. To improve your mind, thoughts is primary. When it comes about now with the exercises, it can change your body. Mind first, and then exercises come second. So we have to really after understanding the philosophy or principles behind it, how in our daily lives become less confrontation with your spouse, with your kids, with your parents, co-worker, and if you really test it, you can find It's just like you shed the burden from yourself. Whereas before, you may be very stressful because of a very nervous situation, or very because we have conditioned human being to think of ourselves first.
Yes.
And anything wrong, like any situation, is your fault. I'm never wrong. But
Right.
Falun Dafa is the other way around. Like this is always, we are always being reminded, think of other people first before yourself. When there's any confrontation or conflicts, look inside. If you're willing to look inside, things will be changing. So by putting it into practice, I do find a benefit from it. 16 years into practicing Falun Dafa. Now it's going to be 17 years.
My goodness.
Since the year 2000.
17 years.
Yes.
Wow. Time flies, huh?
Time flies and you don't even notice that, but I can see the health benefit, like, wow, look at my coworker. So and so had that surgery, so and so had that problem, so and so stay in the hospital. For me, wow, thanks God, I stumbled upon Falun Dafa. And this is the reason at the beginning why I pick up Falun Dafa. From the flight, it said free of charge. And I try it, call the number up, and they show me the exercises for free, borrow me the book, and I started to do that, saw some changes in my body. Now I buy a book because I want to keep it. But like these days, everybody can go to the website and download the exercises or the lectures for free. And Mr. Lee said, good things can only be shared. So for Falun Dafa, if you see anybody approach you and said, I will teach you the exercises or teach you to learn Falun Dafa, but I'm going to charge you $100. Sorry, that's not right. Because we are all volunteers from around the world.
Oh, so everything's free.
Yes, except that if you want to buy a book later, you can go and order a book yourself because you want to keep it. But otherwise, some people, they download it and then they staple it and make it into a notepad. So whichever that you feel comfortable to do. But first of all, it's all volunteers around the world.
Wow.
Yes.
So you have these tremendous health benefits, and from the exercising, specialized exercising. Well, why is it that the practitioners of Falun Dafa are so oppressed? Because as I understand it, there are huge numbers of people that have been tortured and imprisoned. And tell us a little bit about that.
To be honest, when I first stumbled into Falun Dafa, I know nothing about the persecution part. I just know, wow, this is great. And maybe 3-4 months into practicing that, now I heard people talk about the persecution in mainland China.
Yeah.
Now, you can find that in the internet. I look about that. And later on, I found out. From my background, I was born in Hong Kong. It was used to be a British colony. We enjoy all the freedom, just like any people living in the
Sure.
Western world or country of democracy. But when I find out in mainland China is a communist party that's controlling the government, and understanding now, I have a better understanding now, Falun Dafa is a tradition of the Buddhism, Taoism, and Confucianism is not allowed really in the communist country. Because if everybody talk about respect, talk about love, and talk about no corruption, how can they? Because the way they earn the government officials to work for them is like a corruption in each level. And for them to know, wow, 100 million Chinese people are learning that. Now, if these people listen to Mr. Lee or start to practice, how can I control these people's mind? So to them, like a Chinese Communist Party, people have to understand outside of China is an atheist. They don't believe in anything heaven or earth.
Right.
They just think, it's one way and no other way. They believe people evolved from monkey. And my friend said in the classroom when they were growing up, that's the picture of the monkey and said, you are from the monkey. Whereas in the rest of the world, you are free, you have a free choice to be taught Christian, Catholic, Buddhism, or whatever religion that, and then when you grow up, you pick what you want to believe, not in mainland China. Yeah, and persecution, nobody knows how severe it becomes. We find out later on. And all the practitioners, when they say, my goodness, I saved a lot of the money from instead of going to the hospital or instead of being treated, I save money on that, and it's great. And I improved the relationship with my family. So when the government started to persecute, they go to different level and let them know that's their desire.
Yeah.
And however, from around the world at the time, nobody actually is giving you a true piece of information of what happened to Falun Dafa. They're only using the Xinhua news from the Chinese government or Chinese Chi-Com or the Chinese Communist Party. So everything like around the whole world at the time, nobody knows, but they're using the same mouthpiece that they're using, and people outside of China or practitioners feel the need, at least we have to let the rest of the world know what actually is Falun Dafa. And this is our path to it. And shortly after practicing Falun Dafa, since me and my husband find the benefit, we become doing something like that to contact our local government officials and let them know, something that is so good. How can you not let people know? And people are talking about all this healthcare, how expensive is the medication. But if people are healthy, they don't need that. And then healthy actually can be attained. And first of all, you have to have a right set of mind. There's spirituality. You have to nurture it. What can be better than that if you have a healthy body and healthy mind, That's what you want to share with people when you have that health benefit.
Let me ask you a question along those lines, because I'm a Christian, and how is Falun Dafa at odds with Christianity?
I don't think so. I don't think so. The reason being is, if you can have a chance to go to falundafa.org and counter the languages, there are 40 different languages. To me, I feel, wow, it's translated into Hebrew. It's translated into Arabic. And not to mention from Korean or from German, French, or Danish. And, a lot of the people, they have their own belief. But how can truthfulness, compassion, and forbearance go wrong with any upright religion, be it a Christian or Catholic, or be it Buddhism or Tibetan? It doesn't have any conflict with the principle of the three words. And you cannot force people to believe in anything or change yourself. And that's why, once again, I mentioned, when each of us, we believe in predestined relationship. And I think, it's not maybe by chance. We don't believe in coincidence. I think there's always a reason behind things, or like we cross the path with somebody else, or there's a reason, something behind. And I think, like if your audience have a chance to listen to that and want to see what is the Falun Dafa, and they can check that out. And if it is good, and if you are predestined, check that out yourself and start doing the exercises or reading the book. Because look at the book, it's just too much for me using a few words or maybe less than an hour to explain to people. So the best thing is you experience that yourself, and now it becomes your experience. And I have, over the years, heard a lot of stories. Yes, I can only remember the one that maybe happened to my husband.
Well, tell us about that. I understand he had some miracles happen. Huh?
Yeah, when I started to practice Falun Dafa is August of 2000. Over the years, 3-4 years, I have heard of a lot of miracles and a lot of healing story from different practitioners from around the world. And he had a car accident. I still remember the date. September the 14th is a Wednesday, year 2005. I was actually in New York doing my thing. When that happened, he was driving his Honda pickup, and he's trying to make a left-hand turn, and he did not see a truck. Actually, it's a Chevrolet truck that was behind a big truck that his view was blocked. When he tried to make the left-hand turn, he was hit head-on by that Chevrolet truck.
Wow.
He was actually out, because later on I didn't know until he mentioned, I saw the left-hand side of, or like the right-hand side of my truck was being hit. I said, you were unconscious. How could you see what happened? And later on he said he felt like his spirit has come out and actually saw. Because how can he, when he was unconscious, know, he was mentioning how bad it was being hit.
Yeah.
And he was, of course, ambulance sent him to Valley Hospital, and I flew right back the next day. He was unconscious, They have to put staples on his skull so that it could stop bleeding. And when he came about, they suggest him to put that metal frame from here to
Helmet,
here, because over here it was broken. And there's 3 ribs broken here near the abdomen. And the first thing I told him, we talked to each other, is the energy in the hospital is no good. Why don't we go home? And he agreed to that. But the doctor said, sorry, I can't release you unless you can prove you can walk around outside of your room, right? That's the nurse desk. If you can prove you can walk around, I'll release you, but otherwise I can't. So he's holding his thing, whatever you call that with the IV thing. I think it took him like 2 hours, but he did manage to walk around it. Like, it is painful. And when I drove him home, any little thing is 5-10 miles, but when I go over that, because it's broken, it hurt him. And I think that same day I remember going to Lazy Boy and got him a sofa bed. He cannot sleep on the bed. He cannot take shower. So our son, he has to help him with that. When he sleep on the bed, we, both of us, actually have to put him down, get him up. When we are healthy, when we have nothing wrong with our neck, we don't know, But when it's broken here, it's very fragile. And now, he's not the most diligent person as far as doing the exercises or reading the lecture to guide your daily behavior. But for the next month, he's very diligent. He do his exercises and he read his lecture. And from not being able to get up to now, they did not put a metal thing, I don't know what you call it, but they put a plastic temporary thing on it. And instead of the hand, at the time, it's like that, it's crooked, but slowly and gradually he cannot really lift his hand up to the point he can lift that up. We have an exercises that you need to squat and then make a circle around your heel. At the beginning he can't do that, maybe only half squat. Till later on he can do it. And one day he was doing the exercises holding that, and then he has that he sneezed like hachu, and then he found his rib go back to the same position. And this is from his own. September the 14th, the accident happened. By late November, he was doing his voluntary work in upstate New York.
Wow.
And when he was doing his voluntary work, I think he's maneuvering a bulldozer, trying to lift some heavy things up. And then it was upstate New York, it was really cold. And at the time, I think his hand is still not really right yet. He fell on the ice, but when he get up, his hand was okay. So to me, it's a miracle. Right now it's 2017. Did he ever go back to the doctor? One time. 2 weeks into the accident, he said, could you help me please take out the staple? I said, are you kidding me? I'm so afraid, no. So we went to the quick care. It took the doctor maybe 30 seconds to take that out. That's the only time he went back to the doctor after the accident.
My goodness, wow,
And
what a quick recovery.
what can I say? I have heard of a lot of miracles, but for him, to my understanding, he could have been paralyzed because the neck over here is broken. And over here, I still remember, he cannot laugh, he cannot really cough. It would cause him a great pain because it's really not really how do you say it? Not really broken, but it's how do you call that? The rib itself is not it comes out. But for it to go
Displaced.
back, displaced. And that's why, how can we not share with other people? Can you imagine with the traditional way of going to see the doctor, the chiropractor, the medicine, the doctor's visit, not to mention the money that you will have spent,
It certainly
and
would cost a lot of money, yeah.
with the stress level. And for him, just by reading the book, you kidding me, doing the 5 set of exercises, and this is only one of the miracles that we have, because it's our personal experience. So how can we not share with other people?
Yeah.
And
So there's only 5 sets of exercises.
Yes.
And there's nothing to progress up to, or you do more.
For the exercises, no. I do heard of some fellow practitioners. Some people, they can only maybe sit 1 minute, 5 minutes when they're doing the sitting meditation, to half an hour to an hour. Some can do more than an hour. But lately, you know, like the music is up till 1 hour and then it will stop. So each person is different. And somebody cannot do cross-leg right away, and it takes time. But the other exercises are very mellow. So for exercises, there's nothing to advance. But for reading, yes. If you have a chance to finish reading Zhuan Fa Lun or the Falun
That's
Gong,
this one right here.
yes, and you can find the test. It's 9 lectures. This is how veteran practitioners told me when I started to read Zhuan Fa Lun. He said, don't look at the context and jump. Follow through from the preface to like a chapter 1, chapter 2. There's a reason behind it. And if you systematically finish reading the book, it's just wow, you know, like not everybody will have that reaction. But to some people that are so searching or try to find the meaning of life, it may be, you know, because there's a lot of the feedback from a lot of different fellow practitioners from different walks of life. So if you can finish reading that, not easy, because some of the terms are direct translation from Chinese character. Just like when you're asking me, what's Fa Lun? Fa Lun, that's the Mandarin pronunciation, and in English translation is long will.
Oh.
Fa Lun, Da Fa, and it's the Chinese translation also, Da Fa, that means principle. And if you have a chance, if you can manage to finish reading that, there are so many articles that you can read also from Mr. Lee, but we would suggest follow the chronological order so that you don't get, it's just like, yes, it's easy set of principle, but you still have to follow that step by step. If you read maybe 2016 or 2017 article, you may get a disconnection, like something like a missing link. So I would suggest if you feel that you have a liking to Falun Dafa's ideology and the principle behind it, then you start reading the book, look at Master Lee's articles from 1992, like it has articles and books when he did his teaching from Singapore to Sweden to North America. You can read that, and there are question and answer section. That way you can have a systematic understanding of what Falun Dafa is. So as a veteran practitioners now, periodically, we still have to go back to the lectures that we thought at once upon a time we read but forgot. But when we read it again, oh wow, I forgot about that. Because human brain, you can only hold so much.
Right.
And that's why, you know, like as a veteran practitioner, for me, for myself personally, I still make myself available to spend, if not half an hour or maybe 15 minutes at least to read Zhuan Fa Lun. The reason being is we are living in a very chaotic world. Things happen around you can distract you from a lot of the things or what you are doing. By me personally reading Zhuan Fa Lun, it kind of pulled me back to the center of my, like, what's the purpose of life? And why I am here? What am I going to accomplish? Kind of pull me back to focus. To me, that's very important. Besides, you know, I'm, compared to my husband, more diligent. I do find time to do my 5 set of exercises and also find my time to read Zhuan Fa Lun. And another thing to myself, my personal health is, I used to be a lot slimmer or skinnier, and I'm always a cold person, meaning that I have cold hand, cold feet. Shortly after practicing Falun Dafa, I feel like my blood circulation is a lot better. And
Wow.
I always have that like a rosy color on my cheek. I don't really put on makeup, but my friends, do you put brush? No, I never did.
You do have rosy cheeks, yeah.
Yes, and to me, everybody's would have different health beneficiary. The way it manifests to me is from my rosy cheek, but somebody else, we saw older people that have gray hair, that their hair turns black, but everybody is different. So for me, it's like good skin color and finer. I have finer skin.
Now, so wait a minute. So this is happening because of these 5 exercises.
I think no,
No.
because it's the 5 exercises plus I do have a willingness to improve myself. Because if your audience out there, they said, wow, exercises are great benefit.
Yeah.
You can try doing that, but very important, you have to improve your mind. That's powerful. When you're willing, you don't mind to abandon your attachments. What's attachment? Sometimes we have bad habit, like we know it's not good, but cannot get rid of that. Smoking, drinking, gambling.
Yeah.
But when you start doing Falun Dafa and you know the theory behind it, it's so much easier to get rid of that when you find a meaning behind that.
Wow.
And all I can say is everybody, each person, me and you, we all have our own personal story. Everybody is like what do you call it? Have our own history.
Uh-huh.
And whatever you experience, that becomes you. And whatever other people say, you will listen, but then you forget. It's only your personal experiences you will remember. And I cannot tell anybody, or Mr. Lee cannot tell anybody to change the way you think. It's only, wow, when you see changes in your body, that's real, that's great. And now you look further on, and now you try to polish your character a little bit. And wow, I don't really fight with my spouse. Or wow, I improved my relationship with my in-laws. Or wow, my relationship with my kids are improving. Now you're digging deeper. Like the more you let go of your self-attachment and the more you're thinking about the other party, be it your loved ones. Sometimes we do things not really for the benefit, but the things you're doing for your kids, I know a lot of parents, to make themselves feel good.
Right.
So you have to stem right now from now on. If you're ready to learn, try, because we are conditioned. Try. What I'm doing, is that truly good for John, for Stephen, for Mary, or is it, I just want them not to bother me? There's a difference, So like whatever you do, you will stem from that, and slowly and gradually, just like learning anything, it can be achieved.
Well, let's make sure that people that are watching us can find out more information about this. And I think no matter where you are in the spiritual realm of your life, it's always good to understand a little bit of everything, right?
Absolutely.
And Falun Dafa, let's spell that out. You have a website?
Yes, Falun Dafa, FALUNDAFA.org.
.org. Okay,
Yeah.
so www.falundafa, FALUNDAFA.org.
Yes.
And they can get all the information there. Now,
Yes.
you're part of the Nevada chapter,
Yes.
and I assume there's chapters in all the states?
Yes, and we, besides introduce Falun Dafa to our fellow Nevadans, and before I get more involved in the human right or just to become the voice of a lot of the voiceless in mainland China, because they don't live in a free world like we are doing. And we also want to introduce people to watch a beautiful show called Shen Yun. So as Nevada Falun Dafa Association, we are the local presenter to invite Shen Yun here, so that our fellow Nevadan or the Las Vegans can have a chance to enjoy one of the most beautiful shows that is to revive 5,000 years of traditional Chinese culture
Wow.
through art and dancing.
I've
And
seen
that's
this
why.
advertised, the commercial on TV, and it's very impressive.
And to me, over the years, I think it's a miracle itself if you understand how can a troupe or a group be so fast in producing a show each year that they come
Yeah.
up with a completely new show,
Wow.
meaning that they have to do all the handmade costumes, the props, they have to write music, they have to recreate the 3D backdrop. And not to mention, the tour starts like the first or second week of December, and then they'll be finished by the first or second week of May. They will have probably around 2 weeks break, and then they'll get ready for the following year's performance. And not to mention, I'm no professional in music world. How this is from the feedback of some conductors or musicians. how in the world can they put the Western instrument, the Western orchestra, and the Eastern music together? Eastern music, maybe audience are not familiar. They have a two-string instrument called 二胡, and they have 二胡is two-string, but the sound it comes out is beautiful, very similar to human vocal cord. And also they have the king of Chinese instrument called 琵琶. So with this Western element, Eastern element, to write a music to any musician, they are just like wow, how did they do that?
Wow.
So not only they got to enjoy the beautiful dances, they're watching the beautiful costumes as true to the way that it was weared during that time in different dynasty. China has 5,000 years of history behind it with different dynasty. From Han to Tang to Manchuria, they have a very distinct costumes. And they also got to enjoy the live orchestra. Not to mention it's a 2-hour long show with a 15 minutes intermission with our bilingual MC introducing each piece, so you don't get lost when you're watching the dances.
Now I understand that show is coming up here in Las Vegas, right?
Yes.
At the Smith Center.
Next Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, 4 shows. But right now, if you go to the website, I don't think you can find pair of seats.
It's sold out.
Yeah, we saw single seats, so people are grabbing single seats.
Yeah.
And I think it's a word of mouth because they travel around the world. And good luck, I hope you can still find seat. Or if not, then next year when they are back again, be sure to grab the seats. It's just, for me, I can't help, when I sit down and watch Shen Yun, I felt like you have to experience that. I feel like tears in my eyes. I don't know how to explain that. And it's not only me. A lot of the audience that we interview, they have the same feeling. Wow. You just have to experience that.
That's all you can say as well.
Yeah, that's all I cannot express it, using human words.
Now, how many people are in the show?
About around 80 to 100 people, because they have the musician, they have the dancers, they have the production team. So this is with everybody's effort to come up with something beautiful. And I was amazed to learn a lot of these musicians and dancers, while they were performing, a lot of them have that in their mind, what I can give the best to the audience, what kind of pure or good energy I can give it to them, and when they leave, they can leave with an experience that they will cherish for the rest of their life. It's a beautiful show. Check that out yourself. But first of all, very important, Falun Dafa is a chance for you to become. You can be independent of yourself instead of relying on doctor totally. That's my experiences. As this point of my life, I don't, because we all have that fear. My goodness, is the doctor really doing that for my good? I heard that from my coworker. Or is it because of the insurance he needs to do that surgery?
Yeah.
So for me to stumble upon Falun Dafa and have a chance to improve my health and also my husband's, and improve our relationship, not only to my parents, my siblings, and to him and my coworker, very thankful. And how can I not share that? It's not about me, it's about Falun Dafa. So I wish your audience will have a chance to check that out yourself.
So you're convinced that that if you follow the principles of Falun Dafa, that your health is just going to be dramatically improved, and maybe it's sort of like eating an apple a day, it keeps the doctor away?
Yeah, they have so many things like that. And I think if you look at a magazine or if you search meditation, there are a lot of the doctors or in the scientific world or scientific periodicals or magazines, they did find out the relationship about meditation and good health. And don't forget, if you are angry sometimes, or if you're scared, you feel like going to the bathroom. Sometimes certain sentiment will have a relationship with the organ. When you're happy, sometimes the ultimate happiness sometimes causes people to have heart attack. Sometimes when people are afraid, so whatever our sentiment, be it extremely happy, extremely sad, extremely in fear, it does have an impact to your organ. But you cannot tell come on, my heart, stop. You cannot control it. So knowing the theory behind it, if you can come on, do yourself good. If you know that when you're angry or upset, you are doing bad things to yourself, how can you not try and, come on, treat yourself better? Always be like at peace. You don't have to be in a road rage. You know, people can do wrong things to you, but you can make the ultimate decision if you want to be upset or be mad by that person. Don't say, he, she make me mad, but you can make the choice. How great it is when you can make the choice. And maybe we are not comfortable with the idea, but it's learnable. Like when you put it into practice and, yeah, today so-and-so make me mad, but I choose not to be upset by that. And then slowly and gradually you feel the burden of yourself. And I cannot tell you what a great relief when you over the years, because remember I've been practicing Falun Dafa close to 17 years now, and where my coworker, my friends, my family members that are not practicing, because it may not be for everybody, because to have a self-discipline, you have self-discipline meaning that you have to try to look at your sentiment, or you have to try to stop yourself from being mad or angry or upset. It's not for everybody. But for myself, since I was a little kid, I was always trying to find out what's the meaning of life. Why me, Magala Moa? Why am I here in this world? Is there anything is there like a mission kind of thing? But for me, by reading Zhuan Falun, I do find the answer. I know why I am here. I know what I need to accomplish. So for my personal improvement, it is very important. Nothing else is more important than to improve myself to be a better person. I cannot say I'm the best person, but I have the desire. I want to improve it. Because for you to go to a higher level, come on, be practical. You have to assimilate yourself to the characteristic of the universe. If people just say, yeah, I'm good, I want to be good, but you don't practice good, your whole being, how can you assimilate to that?
Yeah. Yeah, doesn't make a lot of sense. So you said you found the meaning of life. What for you, what is that?
I think over the decades or the centuries, a lot of the scholars or a lot of the famous people have also asking about that. And I think, to me, I think Earth planet is like a learning place. And I feel like, we have our lesson to learn to improve ourselves. And we believe we are all from up there, high up there. And for us to return to where we are from, they have that in Christianity, in Catholic, or in Buddhism. You have to make yourself, in your daily life, you have to be really good, because they do have a standard. You cannot just say it, you have to do it. And this is my guideline. When I'm doing things, I don't say, there are nobody around me, I can do something bad. No. Human eyes are so limited. There are people maybe not around you, but there are countless beings that know what you're thinking and what you're doing. So to me, that's a perfect guideline. I don't need people to tell me that, hey, behave or be good. Nobody's around, you can do something bad. I don't have to have people actually tell me to do so, but I myself very consciously, even though there are nobodies around me, to try to, guide why are you thinking something like that? I would tell myself or watch the way that, stop it, that's a bad habit. So I find myself catching myself doing that, and I think that's the first step for a lot of the people if you're willing to start learning Falun Dafa. And then gradually you have more understanding. Oh my goodness, for me to change a little bit in my character, it takes like a great effort, because to change yourself is the hardest thing in the world.
Yeah.
So you have more compassion to your fellow human being or fellow practitioners, because each step you take is so hard. How can you not have compassion when you expect other people to change? Don't. And this is what I learned. Don't tell people to change yourself. Sometimes people see the goodness in you. They want to, wow, I want to be the way she is. She's always happy. I don't see why she's getting upset. Maybe we should be like her. She's never mad at people. She's so nice, not that you are doing that purposely, but when you don't have that worries, or when you don't have that emotional burden on you, it's just like you are emanating it naturally and people can see that.
You would think that the practitioners of Falun Dafa, the crime is going to be gone, right? The health costs are going to be gone. Why in the world would a country like China want to oppress these people and torture them and put them in jail?
Money, and also right now in today's China, I feel so sorry. I was not born in China, but to a lot of the fellow Chinese people, money is God. They lost their root already. And I feel sorry when I start to learn, there's an article called Nine Commentaries on Communist Party. I think you can also download or you can also watch that from the website. It was systematically being destroyed by Mao Zedong when he took over China in 1949. And a lot of the young generation, they don't know there's a cultural revolution from 1967 to 1976 that tried to destroy all the statues, all the readings, and all the historical sites were being destroyed. And also, a lot of the nuns were made to go marry, or the priests were forced. It's a disaster. And why in the world they want to do something like that? Too many good people, it cannot sustain the Chinese Communist Party. They want people to corrupt, they want people like the Chinese Communist Party so that they can control people's mind. And at this point, even though they do have the mouthpiece, it's called China Propaganda Department, they control the news. People don't have any, unlike the rest of the world, you are free to watch the internet. In China, no. But over the years, with the effort from a lot of the technicians in Falun Dafa, they developed software. People can actually jump the firewall and watch what's going on to the outside world and know the truth to Falun Gong or the Falun Dafa practitioner. And right now, it's not sustainable for the Chinese government to still persecute the Falun Dafa practitioners in China, because around the world, from our U.S. government to Canada to United Nations or to you name it, a lot of the countries of democracy, we have practitioners, and they are volunteers also to let their government official know what's going on. So when they have a chance to meet with the Chinese government official, they will question them, why don't you let your people practice Falun Dafa freely? It can give them health benefit and it's good to the society. So right now, if they still persecute as of this point, is because some of them, they don't, because it's not official yet, stop persecution of Falun Gong. So they think, they don't know what's going on, and for money, they are still doing that because they can take away their property. I hate to mention that they can take the organs from a healthy practitioner and they sell the organs to the rest of the world, and this is a big money market. And why is that still happening? It's because of money.
Yeah, well, let's touch on that just a little bit. We only have a few minutes left, but that is it's criminal, it's barbaric, it's unthinkable. But it's happening to people, the practitioners of Falun Dafa.
Yes.
And they're torturing them, killing them, and taking their organs and selling them all over the world in the black market, right?
Yeah, I was not born in China, and a lot of the information I learned from my fellow practitioner. So when they were arrested, a lot of these practitioners would not give the name for fear of retaliation. Now they only become a number. So these people would be rounded up. They would be either ended up in slave labor camps to make a cheap goods and export to the rest of the world, or if they're healthy, because how in the world when you're arrested, they have your health test, they take your blood sample and input it in the computer. And of course, people will ask, now if the organs are being taken, that person will be dead. How can you know the evidences?
Right.
And this is actually exposed not from, because some of them, they are dead already. This is by a doctor's wife in 2006. She used alias Amy, and she actually said that my husband, the doctor, he broke down when he was watching the TV. He's not watching the TV, like stare into nothingness. And he was talking to himself and said, I have taken out the cornea from Falun Gong practitioners, like more than 2,000 of them, and I wish they were not alive practitioners. And
It's so sad. Well, it's a fascinating subject. Magala Moa, thank you so much for being here with us and exposing us to to the good and the bad, because there's two sides to it. And we'll have you back on where we can talk a little more and go into a little more in depth with it. But
Thank you,
thank you
Randy,
for
for the
being with us, and we'll see you next week, same time, same station. Bye bye, everybody.
Thank you, Randy.